Hello, this is Randy, and welcome back to Brain Break with Randy and KeithO. Again, it's just me, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my life when I was younger. When I was in seventh or eighth grade, I'm not sure how this person found me. I think they had gathered my brother and I up to be part of a group to go and solicit for the newspaper. We would go with a whole van full of kids and go across the neighborhood and basically give good deals to people that were willing to subscribe to the newspaper. I let this person know I was interested in selling newspapers and I was thinking a paper route. One day they talked to me and said, "Hey, I've got a street corner. It's a really good street corner if you're interested." I said, "Sure." So I showed up and there were 25 papers. It didn't take me very long and it wasn't very hard. And it was at the corner in Tucson. It was at the corner of Alvernon and Broadway. I had the south corner in on Alvernon. I saw some of my friends from school. I wasn't the least bit ashamed of work. I know some of them made fun of me because I was working, but I thought that was a good thing. By the time I had built that up to where I was selling between 100 and 150 papers a day, the same individual came to me and said, "Hey, I've got a paper route that's about the same size. It had happened in the morning, not in the afternoon. Is that a problem?" I said, "No, I get up early." So I went home, talked to my parents about it. They thought that was a good idea. So I was happy to do it. I really enjoyed getting up early in the morning, and at that time I didn't need a lot of sleep. I'd go to bed, you know, probably 10 o'clock and be up by 4. And I'd fold my newspaper. At that time, I'd put them on my bike and ride around and deliver them. I kept building by them asking me to uh, throw other routes as part of my job. So I kept building it up, and then I'd go and also solicit places where it was a debt, where I would ride for, you know, down a block, and there was not a single paper to be thrown. I would go back and catch up to those places in the late afternoon or evenings, and see if I could get anybody to become a customer. Because the service was good, I was able to get quite a few people to join. By the time I was graduating from high school, I had between 700 papers in the summer and 900 or so in the winter. That was more than I could do on a bike. In fact, before I even got my driver's license, my dad used to have me help him put sheets down to protect the car seats and or truck, and then we'd just load them in the truck and off we would go. I would throw the papers from the passenger side, and he'd throw some from the driver's side. I still had him take me in the truck on Wednesdays when all the ads came out, all the circulars, and Sundays when there was basically the Parade magazine and other ads. The other days I could do it in my own car. I had a little Volkswagen Bug. What I would do is go around and collect for a quarter in advance. I had the largest newspaper bond, they told me, of anybody. And because I had so many papers, and I had to pay a fee for that bond every time I bought the papers. But it was good. I was making more money than my friends in much less time. On a typical day, I could do the 900 papers in an hour and a half, and in the on the Saturdays, there's Sundays and Wednesdays, it would probably take me 2 hours. So it wasn't bad, and I got a nickel a paper, and that's not a lot of money, but in back then it was a lot of money. It was not bad money, considering the time. And so my brother helped occasionally. He didn't like getting up, as that's fine. Everybody's a little different in the amount of sleep they need. Now I'd be the one saying, "Oh, I don't want to get up early." But that's just the way things go. We change as time goes on, even though we're not supposed to. It's supposed to get better. But I really enjoyed that. I had these huge trailer parks. We were trying to figure out how to remember who had the papers. And so we went and put some reflective tape on the mailboxes in this huge trailer park. That reminded us where to throw the papers. We cut the reflective tape rather distinctively so we could tell if it was our mark or if someone else had it up. Some people put them on their mailboxes so that they wouldn't get hit. I had some interesting experiences. As a young man, I threw to a care home, and I would come in, and the door behind me would always slam, and I tried not to let it slam, but it would slam anyway. Uh, I would walk through the care home delivering papers, and there were always people running out of rooms and going back to their rooms. I didn't understand the nocturnal visits at the time. Now, as an adult, I kind of get it. uh, it was rather interesting, and there's certain things I just didn't get when I was, 14, 15, even 16. Uh, didn't make sense to me at that time. But I enjoyed that. It was fun having the opportunity of doing that. I would go and collect on certain days. I would put a flyer in people's papers, reminding them that with an envelope that they could mail me their payment, and most did. They were great about it. There were some people that had a hard time because they were used to their paperboy coming collecting every week. I would tell them I can't do that. I can't even collect every month. They'd say, why? I said, well, I throw 900 papers. Oh, well, if I give you this, what happens if you don't show back up? I said, well, the newspaper will deliver your paper every day. And that was one of the things I did. I'd come home and shower and shave, and I'd get some calls and saying so and so said they didn't get a paper. And sometimes you'd miss people, but most often it was that a neighbor decided they wanted to read the paper more than the person that subscribed to it. So I would deliver papers. They would bring them by. Uh, they just gave me extra papers with it, 900 papers. They just knew I needed more. So it was an interesting experience. I had to keep books on everything and be ready to pay. When I was 13 or 14, I had my own checking account, and it was actually very interesting. When it was school and they'd say, you need so much money for this activity, I just write a check. I didn't have time for the fundraising. Here's the money you said I owe. Here you go. Same thing with scouts and other things like that. So anyway, very interesting experience. I'm glad I had it. In a lot of ways, I wish that our world was still safe enough to have newspaper boys. I don't currently take the newspaper, but I know that if uh, you pay directly to the newspaper and they have adults go around and throw it, it's a little sad because to me, that was just part of growing up, was having a paper route. My children were never allowed to do that. Right after we moved to the Phoenix area, the case that stopped it all was a young man was out. I can't remember if he was throwing papers or collecting, but he was murdered. And shortly thereafter, the same thing happened to a young lady. After that, the newspaper company up here just said, no more. We'll only have adults throwing papers. We're going to do all the collecting. All the business work will be done by us. So it's a crazy world we live in, and it's certainly changed a lot since I was a boy. But that was my experience of selling newspapers. And I'm going to tell a story next about another business that got started because of throwing newspapers. Hope you'll enjoy that as well. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.